They say screams on a roller coaster mean fun, until the day the screams stopped out on a warm summer evening in 2016. At Orion Valley Amusement Park, hundreds of people waited in line for the world-famous coaster, Sky Eclipse. It was the tallest, fastest, and most terrifying ride ever built, known for a drop so steep it made riders forget gravity existed. Families were laughing, teenagers were texting, and couples were taking selfies, unaware that in exactly 3 minutes, something would go horribly wrong. In the middle row sat Liam Turner, a shy 14-year-old boy who hated rides but forced himself to board because his little sister begged him. That decision, one moment of courage, would change the lives of dozens of people in a way no one could imagine. When the coaster hit the first drop, people heard a loud metal snap, a sound that didn't belong. And then, one by one, the screams turned into silence. What happened next would become one of the worst roller coaster tragedies in history. And the story you're about to hear is not just about death. It's about fear, guilt, love, human error, and the courage to live after the unthinkable. The day started like any other summer weekend. The Turner family, Mark, Elena, Liam, and 10-year-old Ava, arrived at Orion Valley to celebrate Ava's birthday. She loved roller coasters. Liam didn't. He was the quiet kid who preferred books and video games, the kind who watched rides from a safe distance while pretending he wasn't in the mood. But that day was different. Ava looked up at him with her big excited eyes and said, "Just once, Liam, please? For me?" And Liam, swallowing his fear, agreed. The park was buzzing with life, music blasting, cotton candy floating in the air, the metallic roar of coasters echoing across the valley. The Sky Eclipse towered over all of it, its massive frame cutting through the clouds like a steel monster. As the family reached the boarding area, a maintenance worker quietly tightened a bolt under the loading platform, something he'd been asked to do quickly because the ride was behind schedule. He was new, nervous, and already running late. He had no idea that the bolt he tightened wasn't the one causing the real problem. Riders boarded row by row. Liam sat next to Ava, gripping the safety harness with damp hands. His heart hammered in his chest, but when he looked at his sister's smile, the fear softened. The coaster launched. Wine blasted their faces. The world blurred into streaks of color. People laughed, screamed, raised their hands. Liam didn't. He held on for dear life. But for the first time, he felt something like bravery bubbling inside him. Then came the climb. The long, slow, terrifying ascent toward the 420-foot peak. The chains clattered beneath the cars, pulling them higher and higher until the world below looked like a toy town. Ava whispered, "This is so cool." Before Liam could answer, a small vibration rattled beneath the seats. Almost no one noticed, but one mother in the back row, Sandra Lewis, felt it. Her gut tightened. Something wasn't right. The car reached the peak. The wind howled. The track vanished in front of them, plunging straight down, a drop so steep it looked like the coaster was falling off the world. The car tipped forward, and then, snap. Not loud, not sharp, but wrong. A sound that made the hair on Liam's arms stand up. The descent began, but something felt off. The car shook. Screws loosened. A safety wheel beneath the coaster, a stabilizing mechanism, had detached seconds before the drop. The Sky Eclipse dived at 160 mph. The car vibrated violently. People screamed, not in fun, but in fear. And then, halfway through the plunge, the middle rows lifted slightly from the track. A millimeter. Almost nothing. But at that speed, at that angle, a millimeter was life or death. Liam instinctively threw his arm around Ava as the world spun into chaos. The ride didn't derail entirely, but it slammed into the lower track with a force no machine was designed to handle. The impact was brutal. People were thrown forward. harness bars dug into ribs. The track groaned under the weight. Dust exploded into the air. When the car finally skidded to a shuddering stop, the silence that followed was worse than the crash itself. Some people were hurt. Some were unconscious. And some never opened their eyes again. Ava was crying. Liam's head was bleeding. But they were alive. Dozens weren't. The screams returned, this time from grieving parents, panicked riders, and terrified park staff. Within minutes, the place that had been filled with joy became a scene of heartbreak, and in the middle of it all sat Liam Turner, trembling, staring at the empty seat in front of him, knowing that he had just witnessed the worst moment of his life. But the nightmare wasn't over. In the days following the tragedy, the world erupted with anger. News channels ran the story non-stop. Investigators swarmed the park. The Sky Eclipse was chained shut, guarded by police tape and armed officers. Families mourned. Survivors relived the horror in their dreams. And Liam, just 14 years old, wrestled with guilt. He kept asking himself the same question. Why did I say yes? Why didn't I stay off the ride like always? He didn't know that the accident had nothing to do with him. He didn't know that a small mistake, made weeks earlier, had been quietly waiting to reveal itself. Investigators discovered a manufacturing defect in the stabilizer wheel assembly. The part had been flagged for inspection months before, but the company postponed it to avoid shutting the ride down during peak season. Money over safety. Schedule over lives. A decision that cost innocent people everything. As the truth emerged, protests formed outside the park. The CEO resigned. Lawsuits exploded. New safety regulations were introduced nationwide. But even with all that change, Liam still carried the weight of that day inside him. It wasn't until he met Sandra Lewis, the woman who felt the vibration in the back row, that something shifted. She approached him during a survivor support meeting and said, "You didn't cause what happened. You didn't choose this, but you survived. And surviving isn't a weakness, it's a responsibility." Her words stuck. Over the next year, Liam joined a foundation created by the victims' families. Together, they pushed for stricter ride inspections, better engineering standards, and a new safety code named Ava's Law, after his sister, who miraculously recovered fully. Liam found purpose in the pain. He spoke at schools, community centers, and engineering conferences. He told people that courage doesn't always save the day, but it can help rebuild what's broken. By the time he turned 18, Liam had decided he wanted to become a mechanical safety engineer, the kind of person who makes sure tragedies like the Sky Eclipse never happen again. The story that began with screams on a roller coaster ended with something stronger: hope, responsibility, and the unshakable truth that even in the darkest moments, a single survivor can change the world.